Shalira had read 10,000 minds in her lifetime, she had touched the cold logic of the Vorn, swam through the musical thoughts of the Tessari, and even brushed against the dying dreams of a creature older than most stars. Nothing had ever surprised her, nothing had ever hurt her. She was the finest telepath the Ethoni had produced in 300 years, and she carried that knowledge with quiet pride. Today she would read her first human. The diplomatic chamber gleamed with soft blue light. Representatives from a dozen species sat in curved seats around the central platform. They had come to witness history. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago, and this was their first major treaty. Trade rights, travel permissions, technology sharing, important things that required verification. Among the Ethoni, telepathic confirmation was sacred law. No treaty was valid without it. A telepath would read the intentions of all parties, confirm honesty, and seal the agreement. It had worked this way for 6,000 years. Rhine walked into the chamber with steady steps. She was a human woman of middle years, with short dark hair and eyes that seemed too calm for the situation. She wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. No medals, no decorations, just clean lines and practical fabric. Ambassador Delos rose to greet her. He was old even by Ethoni standards. His silver blue skin faded to pale gray at the edges. Welcome, representative of Earth. I am Ambassador Delos, and this is Shalira, who will perform the verification. Rhine nodded politely. Thank you, Ambassador. I was briefed on the procedure. I have no objections. Shalira studied the human with interest. She had read reports about this species. They came from a harsh world, a planet of extreme temperatures and dangerous predators. They lived short lives compared to most spacefaring races. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 2 centuries ago, by galactic standards. They were practically children, yet something about this woman made Shalira pause. There was a stillness to her that felt unusual. Most beings facing telepathic examination showed nervousness, fear, even. Rhine showed nothing. The process is simple, Shalira said, stepping forward. I will touch your temples and read your surface intentions regarding the treaty. It takes only moments and causes no discomfort. Do you consent? I consent, Rhine said. Shalira positioned herself before the human. Up close, she could see small details, a faint scar on Rhine's jaw, the slight weathering of skin that had seen too much sun, hands that were steady but carried old calluses. This woman had not always been a diplomat. Close your eyes, Shalira instructed. Try to think about the treaty, your hopes for it, your intentions. Rhine closed her eyes. Shalira placed her fingertips on the human's temples. The skin was warm. Warmer than expected. She took a breath and opened her mind. 4-1. Heartbeat, everything was normal. Then Shalira fell into chaos. She had expected a single stream of thought. Every species had one, even the hive-minded Kalori presented as one unified current. But the human mind was not one stream, it was an ocean. Thousands of currents moved simultaneously, crossing and colliding and somehow not destroying each other. Shalira tried to find the surface thoughts about the treaty. But in this mind, nothing stayed on the surface. Every thought connected to 100 others. The treaty linked to memories of war, war linked to faces of the dead linked to promises made, promises linked to hope, hope wrapped around despair like a shield. She pushed deeper, trying to find stable ground. There was no stable ground. The human held contradictions that should have shattered any psyche. She believed in peace while knowing violence intimately. She trusted the galaxy while suspecting betrayal. She hoped for the future while carrying the weight of the past. These opposing forces did not fight each other. They existed together, somehow balanced, somehow functional. Shalira had never felt anything like this. Her people shared all mental burdens. They distributed pain among many minds so no one carried too much. But this human carried everything alone, years of it, decades of it, a weight that would have crushed an Ethoni held by a single fragile creature. Then Shalira touched the memories, blood, screaming, the smell of burning, soldiers dying under Rhine's hands as she tried to save them, the terrible mathematics of triage, choosing who might live while others begged, a child's body in rubble, a friend's last breath, horror after horror, seared into the mind with perfect clarity. But the horror was not the worst part. The worst part was what Rhine had done with it. She had not forgotten, she had not suppressed, she had taken every terrible moment and transformed it. The deaths drove her toward peace, the failures taught her to try harder. The grief became fuel for compassion. She had built herself from wreckage, and somehow, impossibly, she was still standing. Shalira tried to withdraw. Something stopped her. Deep in the human mind, ancient instincts stirred, predator awareness, millions of years old, recognized an intruder, defenses that existed before language, before civilization, before thought itself began to wake. In the physical world, Shalira opened her mouth. She screamed. The scream tore through the diplomatic chamber like breaking glass. Shalira collapsed, her body crumpled to the polished floor, her silver-blue skin flashing pale white, her hands clawed at her own skull as sounds came from her throat that no Ethone should ever make. Rhine's eyes snapped open. She saw the telepath writhing at her feet and immediately dropped to her knees. What happened? What's wrong with her? Ambassador Delos rushed forward. Other delegates rose from their seats in alarm. Guards appeared at doorways. The chamber dissolved into chaos. Do not touch her, Delos commanded. His voice shook. The link must break naturally. If you interfere, you could kill her. Rhine pulled her hands back. She watched helplessly as Shalira convulsed. The telepath's dark eyes had rolled back, showing only white. Her mouth moved without sound now, forming words in a language Rhine did not know. The other Ethone in the room linked hands and closed their eyes. They were trying to reach their sister, to pull her back from wherever she had gone. Rhine could see the strain on their faces, the fear. Minutes passed, they felt like hours. Finally, Shalira went still. For a terrible moment, Rhine thought she was dead. Then the telepath drew a shuddering breath. Her eyes closed properly, her body relaxed into unconsciousness. She lives, Delos said, relief and confusion mixed in his voice. She lives, but I do not understand. What happened? What did you do? Nothing, Rhine said. I did nothing. I just thought about the treaty like she asked. Medical personnel arrived and lifted Shalira onto a floating stretcher. Delos walked beside it, his hand hovering over her forehead. He kept glancing back at Rhine with an expression she could not read. The other delegates watched in silence. Rhine felt their eyes on her. The Vorn representative's mechanical face showed no emotion, but its sensors tracked her every movement. The Tessari delegation whispered among themselves in voices like wind chimes. A Corvani merchant near the back made a gesture that might have been a ward against evil. Rhine stood alone in the center of the chamber. She did not know what had happened. She had felt nothing during the scan except a slight pressure at her temples, a faint sense of presence. Then the screaming started. She had experienced nothing like the horror Shalira had shown. A human security officer approached her. Ma'am, I think we should leave. Rhine nodded. She let herself be escorted out. The corridors of Unity Station had changed. Word traveled fast in a place like this. Aliens who had walked past humans without a second glance now stopped to stare. Some stepped out of Rhine's path, others watched her with new wariness. She heard fragments of conversation as she passed. Telepath collapsed. Something in the human mind. Never seen Shalira fail. Dangerous species. By the time Rhine reached the human section of the station, she felt sick. She had come here to build bridges between Earth and the galaxy. Instead, she had somehow broken one of their finest telepaths without even trying. Her quarters were small but comfortable. She sat on the narrow bed and stared at her hands. These hands had held dying soldiers. These hands had signed documents that ended wars and started others. These hands had done terrible things and gentle things and everything between. What lived inside her that could hurt someone just by being touched? She thought about the life she had lived. Before diplomacy, the colony wars had lasted 11 years. She had served as a combat medic for 7 of them. She had seen things that still woke her at night. She had made choices that still haunted her. But she had survived. She had taken all of it and kept going. She had found purpose in the wreckage of her life. Was that so wrong? Was surviving so terrible? A chime sounded at her door. She ignored it. It chimed again. Rhine. Ambassador Delos's voice came through the speaker. Please, we need to talk. She considered refusing, but refusing would not help Earth. Refusing would not help her understand what had happened. She opened the door. Delos stood in the corridor. He looked older than he had hours ago. His silver-blue skin seemed duller, his posture less certain. May I enter? He asked. Rhine stepped aside. The ambassador walked into her quarters and stood awkwardly. Ethone did not sit in human chairs. Finally he lowered himself to the floor, folding his long legs beneath him. Shalira will recover, he said. Her body is undamaged. Her mind is. He paused, searching for words. She is changed. Something happened to her inside your thoughts. I did not mean to hurt her. I know, Delos's voice was soft. I caught fragments through our link before she lost consciousness. I know you did nothing deliberately. That is what frightens me. Ryan sat down across from him. What did you see? Delos was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I saw a storm that thinks, he said. I saw pain that has learned to walk. I do not know how any mind can contain what yours contains. I do not know how you survive being yourself. Ryan had no answer for him. She had never thought of herself as a storm. She had only ever thought of herself as someone trying to do better than yesterday. 3 days passed before Shalira opened her eyes. The medical bay was quiet. Soft light filled the room. Machines hummed with readings that the Ethoni physicians could not fully explain. Their patient's body showed no damage. Her telepathic centers showed activity that should have indicated severe trauma. Yet she breathed steadily, and her vital signs remained stable. She woke without warning. One moment she was unconscious. The next, her dark eyes were open and staring at the ceiling. A physician rushed to her side. Shalira, can you hear me? Do you know where you are? Shalira turned her head slowly. She looked at the physician as if seeing through her to something beyond. When she spoke, her voice was rough from disuse. How do they survive themselves? The physician did not understand. What do you mean? Who? The humans. Shalira tried to sit up. The physician pressed her back gently. How do they carry all of that and keep walking? How do they not shatter? Word of her awakening spread quickly. Within the hour, Ambassador Delos arrived. He dismissed the medical staff and sat beside Shalira's bed. His old face showed deep concern. Tell me what you experienced, he said. Tell me everything. Shalira closed her eyes. Even the memory made her tremble. I have read hive minds, she began. I have touched the Kalori Collective, where 1 billion thoughts move as one. I thought that was the most complex experience possible. I was wrong. She opened her eyes and looked at Delos with something like fear. The human mind is not one thing. It is many things happening at once. They have thoughts beneath their thoughts. They have feelings about their feelings. They hold ideas that contradict each other and somehow believe both at the same time. Their consciousness runs on multiple levels, and they are not even aware of most of it. Delos leaned forward. We knew humans were psychologically complex. No. Shalira shook her head. You do not understand. We did not know anything. We thought they were like other species, just younger. They are not. They are completely different. Their minds are fortresses built from suffering. She described what she had found. The chaos that was somehow ordered, the pain transformed into purpose, the trauma carried consciously, deliberately, used as fuel rather than burden. She spoke of touching Ryan's warm memories and feeling not weakness but terrifying strength. She has seen horrors, Shalira said. She has caused horrors. And she took all of it and built herself into something that wants to prevent more horrors. She did not run from the pain, she weaponized it. She made it serve her goals. Delos was quiet for a long moment. We share our burdens, he finally said. Among our people, pain is distributed. No one carries too much because we all carry some. It is the civilized way, and it makes us weak. Shalira's voice was sharp. When I tried to leave her mind, something stopped me, deep inside her. Older than thought, I felt something wake up. Her ancestors survived a death world. They fought predators, disease, each other, everything their planet threw at them, and they left defenses in their descendants. Automatic, unconscious, powerful beyond belief. She grabbed Delos's arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. Her mind recognized me as a threat. It started to defend itself. If she had not remained calm on the surface, if her conscious mind had panicked even a little, those defenses would have destroyed me. I would be dead or mindless, and she would not have even known she did it. Delos pulled his arm back. His face had gone pale. Are you saying humans are dangerous? I am saying they are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Shalira lay back against her pillows. And they do not even know it. They think they are ordinary. They think surviving the unsurvivable is normal. They have no idea what they are. The room fell silent. Finally, Delos spoke. The council has been discussing the incident. Some factions want to restrict human contact. They fear what happened to you could happen to others. They are right to fear. Shalira stared at the ceiling. But restricting humans would be a mistake. Fear is not the right response. Then what is? Shalira thought of the storm she had touched. The beautiful, terrible, impossible storm. She thought of pain transformed to purpose, grief transformed to compassion, survival transformed to strength, respect, she said. And curiosity. I want to understand them, I want to know how they do what they do, I want to see if we can learn from them. Delos studied her face. You have changed, yes. Shalira smiled slightly. It was not a comfortable smile. I touched a human mind. How could I not change? Somewhere on the station, Ryan waited to learn her fate. She did not know that the being she had accidentally broken was now her most unlikely advocate. Ryan received the message on the 5th day. It was simple, just a room number and a time, no sender name, no explanation, but somehow she knew who it was from. She walked through corridors that had become unfriendly, aliens who once nodded in greeting now looked away, doors that had opened automatically now required manual override. Humanity's reputation on the station had shifted. They were no longer curious newcomers. They were something to be cautious around. The room was in the medical section. Ryan pressed the entry panel and stepped inside. Shalira sat on a low chair by the window. Starlight fell across her silver-blue features. She looked thinner than before, fragile in ways she had not seemed during the treaty ceremony. But her eyes were clear and focused. Please sit, Shalira said. I have questions. Ryan took a seat across from her. I have questions too, starting with why you wanted to see me. Because you are the first thing in 300 years that I do not understand. Shalira tilted her head. I have read minds since I was a child. I know how thought works. I know how consciousness organizes itself. Every species follows patterns. But you're kind, you break every pattern I know. Is that why you collapsed? Because we are different. I collapsed because different does not begin to describe it. Shalira leaned forward. Tell me about your war, the one I saw in your memories. Ryan's jaw tightened. The colony wars, 11 years of fighting over resources. Territory, old grudges. I was a medic. I tried to save people. You did not save them all. No, the word came out flat. I did not, and you remember everyone you lost. Ryan met Shalira's gaze. Every single one. Their faces, their names, the way they died. I remember all of it. Why? Shalira's voice was soft but intense. Why do you keep those memories? My people would share such trauma among many minds. We would dilute it until no one carried too much. Why do you choose to carry it alone? Ryan thought about the question. No one had ever asked her this before. Humans did not ask such things of each other. They understood without asking. Because it belongs to me, she finally said. That pain is mine. Those people trusted me to try to save them. When I failed, the least I can do is remember. If I let go of that weight, I let go of them. I cannot do that. Shalira sat back. Her expression shifted through emotions Ryan could not read. You transform it, the telepath said. I felt it. In your mind, you take the pain and you use it. It drives you. Every person you lost pushes you to work harder for peace. The grief is fuel. That is how we survive. Ryan shrugged. We take what breaks us and we make it part of ourselves. We build from the ruins. That is impossible. Shalira whispered. Psychologically, structurally impossible. Pain damages, trauma scars. You cannot simply decide to make it useful, and yet we do. We have been doing it for our entire history. Every war teaches us to want peace more. Every loss teaches us to hold tighter to what we have. Every failure teaches us to try again. It is not impossible. It is just who we are. Silence fell between them. Shalira raised her hand. I need to tell you something. During the link, when I tried to escape, something happened. A piece of me was left in you, and a piece of you came with me. Ryan felt cold. What does that mean? We are connected now. Faintly. I feel your emotions sometimes, like echoes from far away. Last night I felt you dream. It was, she paused. It was intense. Ryan thought about her dream from last night. Fire and screaming and trying to reach someone she could not save. The same dream she had been having for 15 years. I am sorry, she said. My dreams are not pleasant. I know. Shalira's voice was gentle. But I also felt something else. When you woke from the nightmare, you did not cry. You did not panic. You got up and made yourself a drink of water and looked at the stars. Then you went back to sleep. The nightmare did not own you. It is just a dream. I have survived worse than dreams. Yes, you have. And that is exactly what I mean. Shalira stood and walked to the window. The Galactic Council will meet soon to discuss your species. Many want to restrict you. They fear what happened to me could happen to others. Ryan stood as well. And what do you want? Shalira turned to face her. I want to understand you. I want to learn how you do what you do. When I touched your mind, I was terrified. But I also felt something I have never felt before, strength that comes from breaking and reforming, beauty made from pain, something my people have never imagined. She took a step closer. I think humans have something the galaxy needs, not technology, not resources, something older, a way of being that we have lost or never had, and I think, if you will let me, I would like to learn it. Ryan looked at this alien who had touched her deepest secrets and somehow wanted more. I am not sure what I can teach you, she said. Shalira smiled. It was small but genuine. Teach me how to survive being myself. That seems like a good place to start. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so full. Representatives from 53 species filled the curved seats. Their bodies came in every shape, tall and short, scaled and feathered, mechanical and organic, but their attention focused on a single point, the small human woman standing alone on the central platform. Ryan had faced many difficult moments in her life. This one felt different. She was not fighting for herself, she was fighting for her entire species, the Vorn High. Judge spoke first, its metallic voice rang through the chamber. We gather to discuss the incident involving the human delegation. A telepath of significant skill was severely harmed during routine verification. We must determine if humans pose a threat to other species. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. A Thessari delegate rose. We propose restricted contact protocols, no telepathic links with humans, limited diplomatic interaction. They should remain isolated until we understand them better. They should be quarantined completely, a Corvani representative added. A species whose minds can damage others without intent is too dangerous to allow free movement. Ryan listened, each word felt like a weight pressing down. These beings feared her people, they feared the contents of human skulls, they wanted to lock humanity away because of what lived between their ears. The Vorn judge turned to her. The human representative may speak. Ryan stepped forward, she had prepared remarks, careful diplomatic language designed to reassure and calm. Looking out at the sea of alien faces, she abandoned them. You are afraid of us, she said. I understand. What happened to Shalira scared me too. I did not know my mind could hurt someone. I still do not fully understand how it happened. She paused, gathering her thoughts. But I can tell you who we are. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. Predators hunted us, diseases destroyed us, the weather, the ground, the water, everything fought against our survival. We should have gone extinct 1,000 times, but we did not. We survived, and the way we survived shaped our minds. We learned to hold pain and keep moving. We learned to carry trauma and transform it into strength. We learned to fear the dark and walk into it anyway. Our psychology is a weapon because it had to be. She looked at the Thessari who had called for restrictions. You want to isolate us because our minds are overwhelming, but think about what that means. We are not dangerous because we are cruel or aggressive. We are dangerous because we are too strong, too resilient, too determined to survive. Is that really something to fear, or is it something to learn from? The chamber was silent. A door opened at the back. Shalira walked in. She was still thin, still recovering, but she walked without help. Every eye in the room turned to her. I wish to address the council, she said. The Vorn judge nodded. You have standing as the affected party. Speak. Shalira joined Ryan on the platform. She stood beside the human, not across from her. I have touched many minds, Shalira began. Some were beautiful, some were terrible, none were like hers. When I entered her consciousness, I found something I cannot forget. Pain that builds rather than destroys. Grief that teaches rather than breaks. A mind that has been wounded countless times and chooses, every single time, to become stronger. She turned to address the full chamber. I collapsed because I could not understand what I was experiencing, but I have had time to think since then, and I believe the human mind is not a threat, it is a gift. They have learned something about consciousness that we never imagined. They have learned to survive themselves. We share our burdens among many, she continued. They carry theirs alone and somehow stay standing. We dilute our pain until it becomes manageable. They concentrate it until it becomes fuel. They are not monsters, they are miracles, and we should be grateful they are willing to share the galaxy with us. Ambassador Delos rose from the Ethoni section. I support the telepath's assessment. I have spoken with the human representative extensively. They do not wish us harm. They wish to connect, to trade, to learn. Their strength could be our strength, if we are brave enough to accept it. Other voices began to speak. Some still called for caution, but the tone had shifted. Fear was Giving way to curiosity, the vote was called, restrictions failed, a new proposal passed instead, a joint study of human consciousness, conducted with full human consent and cooperation. Humanity would not be isolated, they would be studied, carefully, respectfully, as the unique species they were. Ryan left the chamber with Shalira beside her. They walked through corridors where aliens now watched with different eyes, still wary, perhaps, but also wondering. You did well, Shalira said, you spoke truth without aggression, you showed them what you are without threatening what they are, told them who we are. Ryan smiled slightly, storm and all. Shalira stopped walking, she faced the human with an expression Ryan was learning to read. I still feel you sometimes, the telepath said, through our link. Last night I felt your dream again, the fire, the screaming, and I felt you wake and breathe and go back to sleep. I think I am beginning to understand how you do it. Ryan reached out and touched Shalira's arm, just briefly, a human gesture that aliens rarely understood. Maybe that is where we start, she said, teaching each other how to survive being ourselves. They walked on together, the storm and the being it had touched, learning to share the same sky.